forgot to turn the logistics up to high. Yeah, unfortunately, it's not like a video game where I can just, like, if we put more money into the problem, it will be resolved. It is very much a matter of logistics. As we found out when we were doing Vashine merch, because although we did it through Fourth Wall as Vashine, and it was fairly fast for most of it, the standees, which were custom design standees, and so more difficult for us to do than just simple print jobs of, hey, this is a file that we have, we can just print it, turn it into a standee, send it off. Because they were custom designs that didn't fit the certain specific, I guess, templates that most standees do, we couldn't even sell it at as an actual merch. We sold it as a pre-order, and then it took us 6 months to figure out the logistics of doing it, because we got hit by, because it was us in Vashine, the 4 of us, which are my 3 indie VTuber friends and myself, having to do the logistics of... It was insane, but basically what we were having to do is... we were using the company Fourth Wall to handle the actual selling of the merch, but because it was custom, they couldn't handle the production. So we had to handle the production, which resulted in us, as indie VTubers plus myself, paying for the production of the standees that we had made. So we commissioned an artist who is my former artist on my model, Tana, Hibiscus Drop, who made beautiful, beautiful standees for all of us, with custom bases and custom poses and art. And then we had to then shop around production companies around the world, most of which who were in China, because that was the cheapest place to do it. So it involved contacting factories and production companies in China, as independent, like, VTubers, which is, let me tell you, very difficult, because you're just like a streamer trying to contact these factories who are dealing with, like, you know, big mega corporations, and you're just like, hey, can you help me make my stupid VTuber merch, please? And then hoping that they get back to you. So then, you know, eventually some of them got back to us, and then, like, liaisoning with the Fourth Wall company to make the merch happen. What inevitably happened was the company fulfilled the order once we had finally gotten the whole situation sort of figured out. And what happened was we placed an order for 500 or 300 production of the, because it had to be a round number, so I think it was more than the pre-orders that we got. I think it was more than the pre-orders that we got. I think we had like 200 and something pre-orders, and then but we had to get like a round number, so we had to pre-order 300, so we had to pay more than we needed to for the merch, so we were operating at a loss straight away. And then have it be paid, shipped from China to Australia to one of our houses. So it was shipped on a boat, I think, or on a plane, and then stuck in a harbor, and then eventually made it to Mako's house, who then went through every single, did like a quality check on all of the prints of the merch herself, and then after that, then we had to pay for the shipping of the completed order from Australia to America, which is where Fourth Wall is based, and then Fourth Wall then acted as, because once it had the stock, was then willing to then distribute the stock for us to everyone who paid for them. And then we ended up with the excess stock at the end. So I think we eventually did end up turning a profit, but it was very touch and go, and it, for a long time, because of tariff situations at the time, because the tariff situation with regards to America was insanely turbulent, and resulted in the massive delay that we had of like 6 months, I think. I think it was like a 6-month delay because of the tariffs. Because it just kept changing so often, like it went from like 10% to 200 and something percent, back to 50%, back to 200%, back to 10%, and then I think by the time it was like, when we could guarantee that it was locked in for like at least a little bit of time, that we could sort out all of the payments, yeah, we were very much prepared that we had to sell it at a loss. But the problem was with the tariff situation is that if we just went ahead and didn't wait, all of the merch that we had ordered, we wouldn't have made a profit. We would have been in the red for the entire thing. So all the other merch that we were selling was sold at a profit, and because it was just, we had the designs and then sent it off to Fourth Wall, and then they took their cut and we took ours. So we obviously turned a profit on that. But when it came to the standees, there was a risk that we were going to go into the negative for the entire merch run, because it was just so prohibitively expensive and ridiculous trying to navigate. So that was merch for 4 people for 1 merch drop. For 4 people for 1 merch drop. So imagine if you're trying to handle the merch drops of multiple talents from an entire company, of which there are now 35 talents at the moment, that we then have to try and somehow logistically deal with, whilst also dealing with the same logistic problems that we were doing as independents. More money and resources, it's not the same. I know. I'm not saying they are exactly the same situations, but having gone through the wackiness that was trying to do a merch drop as well with my friends when they're indie VTubers and I'm in the group with them, but not technically indie, it's tough. It is tough. The logistics behind it doesn't make any fucking sense. Doesn't make a lick of sense. I wish it did. What happened to the excess stock? I don't remember. I think we still have it. And I think it's being held for special events or something. Don't quote me on that. Don't quote me on that. Anyway, sorry, that was me just ranting about what it's like to try and do the VTuber merch drops as indies. And like, you know, we're fairly decently successful as indies, but we're not like super massive, huge, like massive names like a Doki Bird or whatnot. So, you know, we don't necessarily have the same connections and business opportunities. So as you know, when I was doing it as an indie, merch is difficult. So yeah, that's the reason why, you know, one of the reasons to join Phase was, hey, you get help with handling the merch problems. And obviously, you know, it's not perfect, but it feels like VTuber merch in general is relatively slow, unfortunately. Because like, yeah, when I had like even when I was an indie, like joining Phase obviously helped my exposure and getting my name out there, but like when I was an indie, it was very difficult for me to be able to do anything involving like anything to do with the business, merch-wise, anything. I mean, I've talked about it before. I wanted to do my beanie merch with a company, and they quoted me $3,000 US for R&D. Like, what the fuck? It's a beanie. You don't need R&D for a beanie. But apparently that was, you know, just because I was probably not that big a name. That's the quote they gave me to go away, probably. And then I did, because I don't sell merch with that company. So, and it turns out a lot of people don't anymore.